right, welcome back to the Virtue Bowling Supply YouTube channel. My name is Chris.
My name is Josh.
And we are back bringing a brand new series called the Influencer Showdown, where myself and Josh will be taking on two of our influencers from the influencer group. And today we're going to be taking on head-to-head Chad Lucci and Brendan Boberski. How's it going, fellas?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
What's going on? You guys ready for this?
Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely.
All right, and with this showdown match, we will also be doubling it as a post-review of the storm level. So we will get our insights as well as theirs about what we're seeing, where it kind of fits in our bag, and we'll see how this match goes. We'll be doing a Baker-style match. So one player will do the odd numbers, and one player will be doing the even numbers. So without further ado, you guys want to start us off? Good luck, fellas. All right, so I guess let's just start off by like how'd you like this ball out of box? Like,
so out of box was definitely a little bit stronger than I was actually anticipating given the numbers. 259,
Bob.
26.
Bob.
Yeah. But the RPM solid cover stock. I was kind of thinking like this was going to be maybe a little bit weaker than an IQ, the original IQ and stuff like that. And actually, it seemed to be a little bit stronger overall shape than my IQ was.
yeah.
With that being said, I did like it a little bit more dull. It did lane shine for me quite a bit.
It lane shines pretty quick.
But I did also drill a second and a third one with a couple different options. Did flush. But I did drill one pin down with a little bit of polish added to it.
Yeah.
And then I drilled one with a little shorter pin just for kind of those more sport patterns, especially if your wing doesn't look really good and kind of react when I have the ball overreact.
Right. No, yeah, I definitely saw it. When I first saw it coming out, I thought it was going to fit more of like those solid symmetric bags or balls in the middle part of your bag. But this definitely fits more of a stronger type in between urethane and those stronger balls. I haven't been able to use it a ton. I feel like with too much oil out on the lanes, it kind of struggles. So I haven't been able to throw it a ton. I don't typically think that this would look great on house shots, but even with these first couple of shots, it looks pretty good going down the lane. It's really smooth going off the end of the pattern. What have you been seeing from this level?
Yeah, no, the ball's been great. Got it drilled up not too long ago. Been bowling with some tournaments. Different fluctuation of patterns.
Yeah.
Bourbon Street, just kind of your high ratio, kind of house shot-like pattern.
Yeah.
It's really great. Kind of like you were saying, there's a lot of volume. It just tends to struggle. For myself, being a lower player, I can throw it on the fresh, but you know, again, as it starts to transition, it'll start to be weak around the corner. But no, it's been overall really great.
No, very good. Where does this kind of like fit in your bag? Do you see it more at the top of your bag with the stronger equipment, or somewhere in the middle, like benchmarky?
Honestly, it's more near the lower end of my bag.
Oh, really?
So we have a new blue in my bag, so it's not urethane.
Yeah.
I really love the lower end stuff, so something that has pretty, not to say strongest core, but more so, just wants to see it early, be a little bit smoother. Storm's lower end kind of stuff like this. I really personally like the Electrify. Was one of my favorite lines. You've seen me throw it plenty of times. It's just been one of my favorite kind of things to throw, being controlled.
Right. No, yeah. Totally see it. I got you.
Go get him.
Throw a shot.
So, I know we bowled collegiately together. So, in college, when do you see yourself throwing something like this during the day?
Yeah, I mean, so this would tend to be like my urethane. So if we're bowling on something, just high mill, shorter, full squash, throwing a purple, this will be coming out of my bag. We'll just hit it with a good 360, 500. I generally would want this kind of like my step above my new blue. So maybe put just a little bit duller than what it would be. I like my blue having a little bit of lane shine. It's called smoother reaction to shot.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, some good first shots right out of the gate. Only one missed opportunity.
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Hand strike always.
And it's kind of interesting too, kind of watching, because Josh and him are very similar in style.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're two-handed, but the rev rate, is a lot similar. Itself.
Right.
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of fun to see how this transition kind of occurs with everything.
No, yeah, I see that. It's weird, being the only one without their thumb in a video. So, I definitely feels like nowadays pretty much everybody's got their thumb out of the ball. So it's really nice to see and kind of show you guys the all aspects of this ball. Everyone using their thumb except for me. We're all actually playing fairly similar lines, it looks like. Playing a little bit straighter. It seems like there's a little bit more oil. I think they oiled for a league prior to us, so there's plenty of oil out there for this ball. I was kind of afraid that there wouldn't be enough oil. Oh, get it! Oh. Good shot. But no, yeah, it looks fairly good going down the lane.
For you, just kind of your take on it. So I know from regionals, you also in the regionals, bowl tournaments as well. But how well did the ball react for you when it came to surface management, as far as adjusting and stuff like that?
So I definitely saw it be a lot better, especially on the higher volume patterns, putting a bunch of surface on it. Like if I put this to 500 or 1,000, it looks a lot better through the front part of the lane. Sometimes I feel like it's a little too clean for where it's supposed to fit in the bag. So slamming it with a little bit of surface helps a lot, especially for me.
And it is 2,000 out of the box, so that would kind of make sense.
No, yeah. Yeah, I guess same question to you guys. Like, what do you guys see this ball being versatile and like using a lot of like surface or surface adjustments?
Yeah, absolutely.
I especially think with urethane type like balls, like surface is crucial. You know, for me as a straighter player, like if it doesn't have surface, I just feel like it doesn't see it really enough. And
I agree.
As you can see, you know, I've been the one to leave those 10 pins right now. Good. Yeah.
Good shot.
A little extra rev rate. Yeah. That's how you do it apparently.
Just giving us the business over
but,
here.
yeah, going back to it, like for me, I feel like a ball like this would have to be at like 500, 1,000 to really like shape the right way. I feel like for anything cleaner with the lower rev rate, it just doesn't see the spot. And like I was a little fast with both of those, so maybe touching the speed a little bit. You'll see that here soon. But okay.
Oh, got that one.
Well, interestingly, but
you know, we were kind of talking about surface and you know issues as we throw on it. The one thing I will say that for me is it needed almost like a definitive friction spot.
yeah.
Like you get a little over under and you get a little wet dry and stuff like that. This ball just
Oh, goodness. All right.
to make
We're
that.
set.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One thing we will mention, the loser of this match, there is a consequence. So it's not just bowling for fun. There is something on the line. The winner will choose the loser's funny or goofy outfit to wear at a night of league, which that will be clipped in after this video as well. So there is something on the line. You know, I would prefer not to bowl in anything, you know, kind of silly during league. I'd like to choose what I want, but we'll see. We'll see how this match goes.
Make sure to tune into all of the Virtue Bowling Supply social medias. Wow, that was sick.
8-pin, yikes.
Just to see the proof of the losers wearing their funny outfits. We'll post some sort of meme or funny post on our social media pages just to make sure that everybody knows who won or lost this match.
Yeah.
So we're down a lot.
Yeah. Halfway through, we need some strikes. Yeah.
We need to get some strikes on the board.
So
I kind of threw it in the middle part of the lane. There's a ton of oil in the middle part of the lane. It did not see it at all.
You were just saying that you gotta get it to that definitive friction spot, or else it kind of does labor a little bit.
Good shot. No, yeah, it literally never wants to see it if you get it too far in the middle part of the lane. So we were just saying that the loser has to wear a funny outfit.
Won't be us.
Well, hey, there's still half a game left. We definitely need to get our striking shoes on. Have you guys put any thought into what we might wear, or what the other team might wear?
You know, I'm thinking about something like maybe stemming from my wedding, which a lot of people understand.
Okay.
You know, here and there.
Good shot, Josh.
So, that's on my mind.
Yeah.
You know.
Got something in the tank? Haven't put a ton of thought into it. Might think of some like funny hats with, you know, I'm the loser or some sort of thing like that.
Maybe like a goofy tutu. I know some people in the past like making bets about wearing skirts during league. Like if I win, that's definitely in play. I'll put that out there. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's see it, Chad.
Back on track here.
Got it there.
Wow,
Oh,
he's really got those light swishers.
Yeah.
He's just throwing pins around.
A little extra hand just seems to
throwing
tickle
some
the pins
pins
a little
around.
differently than say us two, where kind of have to almost jam it in a sense. Yeah.
So, we pulled on a Monticelli this past weekend, and brought this first ball out of the bag. It was great, and then again, once it kind of got in that big puddle, it was just 8 pins and just wanted it to flex, wanted to not turn the corner. So it's just one of those things you really have to hit that definitive friction spot.
I did it again. Just
hit that wiggle spot, a little bucket. Come on, run it down. Yeah, so do you currently have any other urethane or urethane-like equipment in your bag, Chad, that you could maybe compare this to, how maybe a little different?
So for me, over the course of time and stuff, I would say it's stronger than a Pit Black, but it's weaker.
Easy there.
But it's definitely a little bit weaker than the original IQ as far as strength-wise. But as far as shape, it makes more shape overall. I think part of that is with the core and then the AI technology that's in it. Again, both being symmetric from the IQ to the level and stuff like that. I think that AI, definitely has its benefits. I've seen it in multiple balls where, some of those where you're kind of like, oh, that's a light, and all of a sudden it's like pins are flying around like if you just shredded the rack.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Let's see what he does. Oh. Awkward 4-7.
We're all kind of getting those light hits. You got one that was flush in the pocket.
Yeah.
I just have not gotten it to the friction enough for the ball to even try to come back.
Yeah. So in our original comparison video, what did you rate this ball at that time?
I gave it a meh. I thought it was okay for what it was and for what we were bowling on. Just bowling on the kind of burnt up house shot at Mesa East.
Yeah.
We didn't see like all aspects of this ball, and being able to throw it a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, there's a little bit of an opening.
Advantage.
A little bit.
Come on. A little bit
We
of an
still
opening.
need some strikes, but there's a little bit of an opening. But no, yeah, definitely seeing it more on different kind of patterns has kind of opened up like our minds to how good this ball could be. I still think it fits in a kind of niche spot where it kind of takes up a part of like my bag that I don't necessarily need all the time. I wouldn't say that this is a staple in my bag. Yeah, it's tough to fill like even just like a 6-ball arsenal and put it somewhere where it doesn't like overlap in some sort of way with other bowling balls.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good job. Very good job.
Yeah, I also believe I gave it a meh at the time. But if I were to change it, I'd probably maybe bump it up to a fire, if I'm being honest, just because the more I've thrown it, the more I've been able to see it kind of be smooth. It does need friction. Like, I see it better being on like medium to lower volume patterns where, there's not necessarily hold. Like this gives that to me, where if I were to throw like a purple, that's the only really other urethane ball I throw just because of my rev rate, but that would help way too much for something like that. That definitely needs more volume.
Do you see this being able to use for you more than urethane?
Yes, I do. Just because it allows me to play a lot straighter.
Yeah.
I've thrown a purple before, it just looks too much for me, and then you just have that over-under of, man, if I try to open it up a little bit like that last shot, open it up a little too much, it's not going to come back, not going to have that reaction that you're really looking for. So it really allows me to play my A game of just being a straighter player, playing up the board, just being able to hit it, be able to stay in control.
Yeah, more in front of you. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, right now, if Chris gets this strike, I think we would make the gap 11 pins, if I'm doing my math right.
And a little
soft, a little right early, and it kicks off of it. So if he picks this up, we'll be down 19 pins.
And I will say also about it, especially when there is definitive friction, overall shape, like it is very strong. When it's drier, I was kind of listening to you guys talk a little bit about where this ball kind of fits for you guys, stuff like that. For me, like this is not one of those first out of the bag, type balls. This is more of that transition, or if we're on a little shorter volume where the urethane just isn't quite enough. Like in the regionals, we can only throw the 78 IQ, and if that's not enough, then this is kind of that next step to kind of keep me in the shape that I like, but at the same token, not punish me by cranking too much left to right early on.
Yeah. I can see that, especially with a lot of those bigger, earlier balls, urethane type balls.
Right. And a lot of people are scared to make that jump from urethane to reactive, and that kind of fits that spot where it's close enough to urethane to where you're not making the drastic jump into reactive that so many people are like afraid to get into. All right, that kind of put a damper on things for us. You got it, Josh. No, yeah, so if you guys had to give this ball a rating, just based off of everything that you've seen from this ball, so we have fire, or nuts being the top, fire being the next one, meh, potato, or trash, and potato. What ratings would you have to give this one?
For me, again, it's a niche, you know, type ball.
Very.
But for me, on most tournament patterns, it's been probably in the fire category.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's not quite strong enough for the full blocker, which doesn't allow a lot of room sometimes.
Yeah.
You have the right ball in your hand, and you feel like you can play in an area like this versus this.
Yeah.
You know, that's 80% of bowling, it seems like. So.
I agree. What about you? What have you seen?
Yeah, I would definitely just in the fire category.
Yeah.
You know, definitely throwing it on some higher volume stuff. Again, it's not the first thing out of my bag, but you know, I should be saying, you know, you can bring it out, have that much miss room. You know, it can really open it up. You know, definitely be something for, you know, hey, we're bowling on lower volume, maybe like 40 feet, anything shorter. You know, where I don't have that. You know, if I'm in a big ball like an extreme envy, where you know I'm missing in, miss left.
Good shot,
you know,
Chad.
I'm getting 3 off the left, where you know I have a little bit more wiggle room with this.
No, yeah, I agree. I think if I had to re-rate this ball from our previous review, it really fits in somewhere between meh and fire. It's not meh, like that sounds like it's a bad ball, but it's like it's as far up in meh category as you can get. I'm not going to give it a fire just because I really don't see myself throwing it a ton. I think I can get a urethane ball to float enough by like tricking it to where I don't have to give up a part of my bag. Great shot. To where I don't really need to fit this in my bag at every single tournament.
Yeah.
It will definitely go to some tournaments, but I still think it's somewhere in between meh and fire.
It's definitely more pattern specific.
Oh,
is what I'd
100%.
say. Yeah.
I totally agree.
Not bad. Just got to make sure you're on the right conditions. Not going to work, you know, whatever pattern. If you're bowling weekly tournaments, like it's not going to be that ball where you can just really throw on anything.
Yeah.
So well,
great game.
But it looks
game.
like unfortunately you guys are the winners of this one. So we can finish there.
Throw a couple of shots.
I don't know what you guys are going to choose for us.
Choose something.
I like the term.
Yeah.
Too little, too late. That is unfortunate.
They always strike when you don't need them. You find that out very, very often. But
So obviously, you guys both being former collegiate bowlers and you know, tournament, bowl league, but you're not branded to one specific, you know, this and that. Do you feel that this would be very your type of play, or for collegiate bowlers, that if urethane didn't match up well because it wants to read early, that this would be a good replacement for that?
This is unfortunate.
Or do you feel like it's not quite that same kind of degree?
yeah, personally, I think in college most of the time we're bowling on quite a bit of volume, just because of, you know, how long we're bowling for the event. You know, 6-7 team games. That's a lot of games bowled on without a reel.
All right.
And I just personally, you know, I just don't think it's going to be the best in that necessarily. It really depends. You know, if it's shorter, which we don't see a lot in college, it could work. But the higher volume, like I said, I think it would have to be like less than 28, 29 mils for me to see it actually shaped the right way on those types of patterns.
I see it the same way. I mean, it's something, you know, kind of how we've had the new blue for this whole collegiate season. You know, we've thrown it very minimal. You know, we're seeing transition to where, hey, you know, it can really blend it out very well. I can play that straighter line, sure. But I mean, again, for this, it's just kind of one of those niche things where it's like it's just pattern dependent on. Maybe if we're bowling at a high friction center, to where hey, play the straight line, hit that definitive spot.
South Point.
Exactly.
South Point, or a lot of certain bowling alleys in Southern California where just you get it to the gutter and it's like missing the headpin left kind of deal. So I can see it working at places like that. But yeah.
Do you feel this would be a ball that would work well with nationals?
I would say so. It depends, because every year it's kind of different. Sometimes team hooks a little bit more, sometimes double singles hooks a little bit more. But whichever one hooks more, I can see this being a ball I would use just to kind of control that break point, because they are decently flat there. I mean, like I remember last year team, they hooked a decent amount and got very far left pretty steep pretty quick. So I could see myself starting in something like this to try to play as straight, straight as possible without jumping that far left that quick.
Hell yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
All right, well, nice game. Those are two very well bowled games.
Yeah.
A clean 200, and you guid one open, but you guys shot 236. So very, very good bowling. Congrats on winning the first showdown match.
Yep.
If you guys have any requests or certain names that you guys think that we should use for this, we're open to ideas. Influencer Showdown's kind of our go-to right now. Please let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.